minority groups. Local officials are requiring those eligible, senior citizens and people with weak immune systems to register first. Carolyn Bonquin filed this report.
Senior citizen Cesar Cruz is among those who first got a booster shot in San Juan City on Tuesday. He chose Pfizer, same brand as his first 2 doses.
Initially, I was looking at Moderna, but I asked one of the doctors, recommendation niya was just go for Pfizer. It's a lot safer.
Mina Kapalad had Sinovac vaccine as primary series and also got Pfizer as booster.
Itong ngayon sa kanila, itong recommenda nila ngayon. Kung ano lang ang nandiyan na pwede available.
Ameline, who has weak lungs due to pulmonary fibrosis, also came early. Based on the guidelines, she's been due for an additional dose since October.
Kailangan ko din siya since pulmonary fibrosis kasi more on, di ba, masama siya sa pag napasukan ng lalo COVID-19, mapasama lalo kasi sa lungs yung sakit niya.
Like health workers, senior citizens and persons with weak immune system may choose to get the same or different brand of vaccine. But in the end, it depends on the doctor's recommendation and available supply. No walk-ins are allowed, at least in San Juan City. They only accommodate pre-registered vaccinees.
Hindi naman namin ina-assume na lahat ng nabakunahan dati ay gusto magpa-booster shot. So sayang naman kung ita-text namin sila at hindi rin sila pupunta.
You need to present your vaccination card and ID so vaccinators can check if you are qualified for a booster shot or an additional dose. That is, 3 months fully vaccinated with Janssen and 6 months for other vaccine brands. But others who were only days short were allowed to take booster shots in San Juan, like Losanta Daniel. Her 6th month is on December 1st. Her companion says she's having the same brand as her initial doses.
Yung first and second dose niya is Sinovac po. Walang naging side effect sa kanya kasi at least sanay na siya dun sa bakulang Sinovac.
Kaya nga, yung instant case na yan naman is meron siyang clearance from doctor. So yun, so hindi siya, it's more on a exemption than a rule. The rule pa rin is dapat 6 months.
In Manila, many senior citizens with underlying illnesses also lined up for booster shots in hospitals, just like in Ospital ng Maynila.
Hika, diabetes. Hindi ko po kaya magkasakit. Kailangan po mabuhay na matagal.
The hospital is also accepting vaccinees from other areas.
Kung gusto talaga dito nila magpabakuna, kinakailangan lang po talaga ay magpa-pre-register tayo sa Manila COVAX, no?
Other provinces and cities in Metro Manila have yet to start giving boosters for senior citizens and persons with weak immune system in the coming days as they await for more vaccine supply. Carolyn Bonquin, CNN Philippines.
The Food and Drug Administration says COVID-19 vaccination of younger children is possible before the end of the year. The agency is currently waiting for at least 2 pharmaceutical companies to submit amendments to their emergency use authorization that will make way for the vaccination of children aged 5 to 11.
I'm pretty sure Pfizer is going to be ready, and the Sinovac also told us that their data is being collated and will be submitted soon. So I believe before the end of the year, we're going to have vaccines for children below 12.
The FDA also says recent data on the ongoing vaccinations of minors aged 12 to 17 are looking good, with less than 1% of about 500,000 vaccinees reporting just mild side effects. Now, dozens of business groups want to use their own COVID-19 vaccine supplies as booster shots. In a joint statement, nearly 30 organizations urge the government to allow them to distribute booster shots to their employees and families. They cite the dramatic decline in cases and healthcare utilization rates in Metro Manila and nearby provinces because of the high vaccination rates. With the oversupply of COVID-19 vaccines, the groups worry that these doses might expire and go to waste. The private sector has helped the government secure millions of vaccines. Earlier, Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Joey Concepcion called on the government to include economic frontliners in the rollout of COVID-19 booster shots. The Health Department, however, said that only certain sectors are covered in the Emergency Use Authority or authorization for the use of vaccines as booster doses. Now, if the extra doses are expiring soon, the agency advised companies to loan them to the government for the meantime. Presidential aspirant Bongbong Marcos submits his drug test results to authorities through his lawyer and spokesperson, Vic Rodriguez. Rodriguez went to the National Bureau of Investigation, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, and the Philippine National Police this morning. He submitted Marcos's cocaine drug test, which showed a negative result. The lawyer claims it was conducted at the St. Luke's Medical Center, Global City in Taguig on Sunday. He also submitted Marcos's negative methamphetamine and marijuana drug test results. Rodriguez says the presidential aspirant took these tests at the Philippine National Police last November 10 to secure a permit to carry firearms. Last week, President Duterte claimed the presidential hopeful, who has a well-known father and family name, was into cocaine. Days later, he called Marcos a, quote, weak leader and a spoiled child. The son and namesake of the late dictator, Ferdinand Marcos, says he doesn't feel alluded to and that he took the drug tests to assure the public he is against illegal drugs. He also called on his fellow presidential aspirants to take drug tests as well. CNN Philippines has reached out to St. Luke's Global City for confirmation on Marcos's drug test results, but the hospital has yet to respond. In less than 3 months, campaign season officially begins. The government will start regulating online campaigning, with candidates turning to social media to woo voters. But Stanley Gajeta reports combating disinformation remains a challenge.
Generation Z and first-time voter Rain Dylan Carillo believes online campaign and the use of social media both have advantages and disadvantages.
First, kasi mas madali yung platform of social media to reach out to different people. And then the disadvantages, of course, ang bilis ng spread ng information in social media. So there's so little time to really moderate if it's fake or not. So there's a bigger chance for trolls.
Carillo encounters a lot of news and information about the upcoming elections, and she makes it a point to validate them.
I was taught pala nung elementary kami na to maging mapanuri sa sources namin, to double check and never get information na you can't check from 5 or more sources.
But not everyone is as discerning as Rain. For social media expert Philip Jose Hernandez, the recent Comelec resolution legitimizes the use of social media for elections, but enforcing regulations will be a challenge.
So if we regulate, for example, the practice, do we actually have enough parameters, manpower, and resources to really regulate and treat them fairly? Because in the absence of such, it will just be a piece of paper. Do you regulate the platform or do you regulate the behavior in the platform?
Hernandez says social media is powerful and voters should be wise enough before believing what they see, hear, or read online.
The information you can get on social media can make you decide on something. There are people who do discern. There are people who do know what is true, but it's not given value.
For political scientist and sociologist Frederick Ray, he thinks there's a policy gap in the new resolution.
Hindi niya nire-regulate yung individual being. Hindi niya nire-regulate yung self for it to become responsible.
And with this, disinformation through social media could continue to proliferate.
All actions are influenced by available information. The essence of this information basically lies in the manipulation or control of the communication process.
Hernandez urges voters to patronize official news sources rather than unverified social media pages.
A good social media user who follows all of these will have a better idea, will approach the truth closer kasi maraming storytellers.
Stanley Gajeta, CNN Philippines.
The National Police is closely monitoring Cagayan Valley and the Bangsamoro region because of the presence of private armed groups. PNP Chief General John Carlos says police are studying historical data of election violence to prepare for possible incidents in the upcoming elections. Historically, private armed groups are used to sow fear and terror in favor of some candidates. Carlos says police are still reviewing the list of possible election hotspots while intensifying the crackdown on private armies. Today marks the 12th anniversary of the Maguindanao massacre, the worst election-related violence in recent history. 58 people were killed, 32 of whom were media workers. Up ahead on Newsnight, we'll find out what's driving the latest blast of text messages that advertise or offer jobs. And the Commission on Human Rights warns it will not hesitate to take legal action against those who book fake deliveries following pranks targeting the opposition. Stay tuned.
Taylor Swift has set a unique record. Universal Music says her new version of All Too Well, which clocks in at over 10 minutes, is the longest song ever to top the Billboard Hot 100 chart. The previous record holder was Don McLean's American Pie at a mere 8 minutes 42 seconds.
You could see this intensity in his eyes. This is what I've been waiting for my whole life. I want to do this.
Kevin Smith is the subject of Clerk, a new documentary about the indie filmmaking icon. And to no one's surprise, he really likes it.
I'm not one of those filmmakers like, I don't like when people talk about me. I'm like, I foster the conversation. I love the sound of my own voice. So it was weird to watch the documentary and be so into it because not only am I a big fan of the subject matter, the guy who does most of the talking in the movie is like my favorite talker on the planet. So I could listen to him for hours.
Clerk is now available on digital platforms. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
BTS owned the night at the AMAs. The K-pop group performed with Coldplay early in the show and then won 3 awards, including Artist of the Year.
Wow! We believe that this awards opens the beginning of our new chapter.
And the night turned out pretty sweet for the artist behind the hit album Sour, Olivia Rodrigo. After a moving rendition of her song Traitor, the pop star took home New Artist of the Year.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little nervous, I'm shaking.
Rapper Cardi B hosted the American Music Awards for the first time ever and managed to snag Best Hip Hop Song for her hit Up along the way.
Anyways, I gotta go home.
Represent Boston. There was a blast from the past when the show held the Battle of Boston, featuring boy bands from Beantown, New Kids on the Block, and New Edition. The evening wrapped with another performance from the big winners, BTS. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
Bang, bang. Linsky General Merchandise, San Pedro District, Pagadian City, at bang sa balay sa mga pawaran kaniadto na maligya sa mga makina o piyesa sa mga nagkalain-laing sakyanan, sama sa 10-wheeler, forward, elf, bungo ug daghan pang uban. Tag-iya ug tagdumala.
Welcome back to Newsnight. A week after they were blocked and fired upon with water cannons by the Chinese Coast Guard, 2 civilian boats manned by the Philippine Navy finally completing their mission in the Ayungin Shoal. Their goal was to bring supplies to Filipino troops aboard the BRP, the Sierra Madre, which is stationed in the shoal. Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana says the boats arrived in the area at 11 this morning without any untoward incident. He, however, says there was a Chinese Coast Guard vessel in the vicinity that sent a rubber boat carrying 3 persons near the vessel. They took photographs and videos of the Philippine boats while Navy personnel were unloading supplies. Lorenzana says he has communicated with the Chinese ambassador that these acts are considered a form of intimidation and harassment. During the ASEAN-China Special Summit on Monday, President Duterte condemned China's attack on the resupply boats, saying Beijing's actions do not speak well of the relations of the two countries. He expressed grave concern about the Ayungin Shoal incident, but also acknowledged China's assistance to ASEAN's pandemic response efforts. The president recalled China was among the first to provide vaccines during a global supply problem.
Was a just and fair solution of our disputes. We must realize.
Well, have you been receiving anonymous texts with job offers and the like? Don't reply or click on the links that are included in those messages. The head of the National Privacy Commission says these are text scams from an organized global syndicate. Tristan Adalo has more.
Job opportunities with tempting salaries all made possible by clicking a link. These spam text messages have been bombarding Filipino mobile users in recent weeks.
Kayo po ay lalansin lamang nito upang magbigay ng inyong personal details at ang dagdag na peligro ho nila ay nanakawan ka ng pera in real time.
Siblings Patricia and Pascal Aurelio expressed their frustrations over the possible leak of their contact details. They have been receiving several spam messages ranging from job offers to even loans from random mobile numbers.
Nakakakaba at nakakatakot na ganun kadaling makuha yung data. Honestly, I'm really concerned because ako personally, I'm a very private person.
And iniiwasan ko talagang ibigay ang numbers ko kung saan-saan. So it's really shocking to know that some random numbers from random people get my number.
Some netizens share that they have been receiving at least 5 messages a day and block hundreds of numbers that send the spam messages. Now they ask, could this be coming from the contact tracing forms that they have signed during the pandemic?
Wala tayong direktamenteng ebidensya na nagpapakita nito. Nakita natin ito nga sabi ko nga sir niyo, is an organized international or global na sindikato ang gumagawa nito.
Telecommunications firms are also stepping up their anti-spamming efforts. PLDT Smart says they have blocked keywords, mobile numbers, domains, and IP addresses linked to the spam messages.
We continue to find indicators of compromise about this spamming, in the dark web, and we also have our threat intelligence community that we are part of globally. We are asking about this spamming, and we are trying to get more and more domains and IP addresses that we can configure and block.
The telco adds, based on their initial investigation, some of the IP sources of the text spams came from abroad.
IP sources located in Hong Kong. In other engagements, IP sources located in Malaysia, located in Taiwan, located in Singapore. So this is a sort of a big and well-organized campaign, no?
Globe Telecom is also intensifying its anti-spamming measures by blocking over 5,000 numbers linked to spam messages. As authorities and telco providers probe the proliferation of these spam text messages, the public is encouraged to be more careful in giving out sensitive information to unknown numbers or strangers, no matter how enticing their offers may sound. Tristan Odalo, CNN Philippines.
The National Telecommunications Commission directed telco companies to send a text blast to subscribers warning them not to believe and give out personal information to these spam messages. The firms are required to submit a compliance report by December 14. From fake job offers to fake delivery bookings, opposition bets were pranked on Monday after fake orders were placed under their names. Presidential aspirant and Vice President Leni Robredo was the first to be victimized by the modus. Multiple transactions totaling over 100,000 pesos were made in Robredo's name via the mobile app MetroMart. The items were sent to the office of the Vice President through cash on delivery. The goods were returned to supermarkets without charging the OVP and the riders. Robredo called on those playing pranks to stop wasting the precious time of delivery riders. Her running mate, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, also received a fake order on the same day for frozen meat and wine worth 90,000 pesos. Re-electionist Senator Risa Ontiveros shares a food order worth 17,500 pesos was also made under her name and Senate office. The hashtags We Love Duterte and I Love Drilon were part of the order notes, but the transaction did not push through. Ontiveros is considering filing a complaint to protect local businesses and delivery riders. The Commission on Human Rights says it was also contacted by several businesses yesterday for food deliveries that no one in the agency booked. The CHR adds an investigation is underway and that it will not hesitate to take legal action against those also planning the same prank. Meanwhile, two companies known for food, retail services, and delivery are teaming up for a new project to help members of underserved sectors jumpstart their own business. Chrissy Di Matulak has details on this livelihood program in Caloocan City.
Sheila Araneta is a graduate of a 2-year drug rehabilitation program in Caloocan City. She's excited to get back to her normal life in the outside world, but she has one problem. She realized it's not easy to start all over again for someone like her.
Hirap magsimula ulit. Kasi hindi mo alam kung ano, natatakot ka na kumuha ng mga requirements kasi may records ka na.
Araneta is among the chosen beneficiaries of Caloocan City's livelihood program called the Bayanihan Palengke. Drug rehab graduates like Araneta can have a fresh start as they are given an opportunity to sell fresh produce to their community.
The way to attract them really is meron ba talagang maayos na business proposition.
To make this possible, Caloocan partnered with food delivery service Food Panda and 24-hour retail store company Philippine 7, which operates 7-Eleven. Under the agreement, Food Panda will provide seed capital for beneficiaries, while 7-Eleven will use its trucks to pick up fruits and vegetables directly from farms.
The supply chain on fresh vegetables and produce
is something that we've been very interested in from day one. Why is that? It's because we have so many restaurants, we deal in food, so anything that we can do to streamline one of the main inputs, which is produce, and lower cost, that's something that we're interested in.
We have trucks that go out, let's say to Baguio, para mag-deliver sa stores doon. Tapos pagbalik, walang laman. So, we said, okay, well, libre naman yung wala naman laman. So, sige, pasakyan natin yung mga vegetables para makatulong.
According to Murogi, Food Panda riders can also be part of the program and serve as resellers. They can earn extra income by delivering produce to different areas. The two companies are eyeing to launch the program soon in Manila City. Chrissy De Matulak, CNN Philippines.
The Senate is set to resume its probe into the government's alleged mishandling of pandemic funds on Friday. The investigation into the government's supposedly anomalous deals with Pharmally Pharmaceuticals was triggered by a Commission on Audit report that flagged deficiencies in the Health Department's COVID-19 spending. For Health spokesperson Maria Rosario Vergere, the probe is delaying the DOH's COVID-19 response.
In my opinion, it has demoralized our cadre. Because we were branded and we were included into this kind of controversy wherein, based from our work and efforts that we have done, we have acted according to the laws of the country and the different policies that are there. We would like to just manifest that we will always cooperate, but there are still other things that the department and the national government has to attend to because we are in the middle of the pandemic.
Join our senior anchors Pinky Webb and Rico Hizon as we take a hard look at the country's COVID-19 response, the milestones and the controversies. Catch our special presentation, Politics of COVID-19, Winners and Losers, this Thursday, 8 p.m., only here on CNN Philippines. Still on Newsnight, Filipino pole vault sensation EJ Obiena slams the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association for accusing him of not paying his coach on time. And female artists are taking over the global charts and breaking new records this year. We'll take a look after this break.
Linsky General Merchandise, San Pedro District, Pagadian City at bangsabalay sa mga pawaran kaniadto na maligya sa mga makina o piyesa sa mga
In a video call on
sakyanan
Sunday, Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai said that she is safe and well, living at her home in Beijing, and would like to have her privacy respected. Now, this is according to the International Olympic Committee. The IOC says its president, Thomas Bach, spoke to Peng for 30 minutes, and they were accompanied on the video call by two other individuals, including a Chinese sports official. The IOC did not give CNN access to the video. We only have their statement and this still photo in which we could see Peng smiling to the camera. On November the 2nd, Peng Shuai accused former Vice Premier Zhang Gaoli of forcing her to have sex. And CNN has reached out to Zhang and Chinese officials for comment, but has gotten no response. Now, Peng made the accusation on a verified account on Sina Weibo, the Chinese social media platform, and within half an hour, it was taken down, and she remains under blanket censorship in China. There is no reporting of her sexual assault allegation in China, and her situation has triggered global concern from the White House, from the United Nations, from international tennis stars and others. And that prompted Chinese state media to release a series of photos and video that appear to show Peng alive and well in Beijing. In clips that were released on Sunday, Peng is seen at a youth tennis tournament in Beijing. CNN can't independently verify the footage, including where or when they were taken. The Women's Tennis Association says that the videos are insufficient. In a statement, it says this, quote, "It was good to see Peng Shuai in recent videos, but they don't alleviate or address the WTA's concern about her well-being and ability to communicate without censorship or coercion. This video does not change our call for a full, fair, and transparent investigation without censorship into her allegation of sexual assault, which is the issue that gave rise to our initial concern," unquote. News about the IOC's video call with Peng has not ended concern. Instead, it raises new questions among her supporters, including, is Peng Shuai truly free? Christy Lou Stout, CNN.
Bang, bang.
Linsky General Merchandise, San Pedro District, Pagadian City at bangsabalay sa mga pawaran kaniadto na maligya sa mga makina o piyesa sa mga nagkalain-laing sakyanan sama sa 10-wheeler, forward, elf, bungo ug daghan pang uban. Tag-iya ug tagdumala mao si Madam Arlene Solihon Fernandez ug si
Welcome back. A woman who was considered the oldest living person in the country, Francisca Susano, has died at 124 years old. Lola Iska, as she was affectionately called, died Monday evening. Health officials in her hometown in Negros Occidental have yet to determine the cause of death. Lola Iska was born on September 11, 1897, during the Spanish colonial era. As of September this year, the Guinness World Records was still processing documents to declare her as the oldest person on Earth. In sports, Filipino pole vault sensation EJ Obiena slams the Philippine Athletics Track and Field Association, which is now accusing him of not paying his Ukrainian coach on time. Obiena admits he has made late payments to Vitaly Petrov, but only because he had to, quote, do the job of paymaster on top of managing his workload and training as an athlete. He says he had asked Patafa to pay his coach directly, but was always refused. Petrov himself said Obiena has been paying him on time and in full since 2018. The pole vaulter says he's willing to, quote, make peace with his home federation, but that he will clear his name first. He adds he will raise all legal challenges and bring the case to court where, quote, all evidence must be exposed, unquote. Patafa first accused Obiena of not paying over 85,000 euros or 4.8 million pesos in coaching fees. The athlete dismissed the claims as baseless and threatened to immediately retire. On Monday, the Senate adopted a motion to recall the 2022 budget of the Philippine Sports Commission for taking a, quote, hands-off approach amid issues surrounding the Olympian. LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers is getting a one-game suspension without pay for, quote, initiating an on-court altercation with Isaiah Stewart. Meanwhile, the Detroit Pistons center is suspended for 2 games after, quote, aggressively pursuing James after he was struck in the face. The star forward hit Stewart trying to box him out for a rebound in yesterday's event. This is James' first suspension in his 19-year career. And in music, it looks like female pop stars are taking over the global charts. And first on the list is Taylor Swift. Her 10-minute track, All Too Well, debuted at the top spot of the Billboard Hot 100. And it is now the longest song to hit #1 in the chart's history. The previous title holder, Don McLean's American Pie Parts 1 and 2, held the record for nearly 50 years. Adele's 30 is now the top-selling 2021 album in the U.S. just 3 days since it came out. It sold over 500,000 copies as of November 21st, beating out Swift's Red Taylor's version, which set the record a day before Adele's release. But moving from heartbreak to the holidays, it looks like people are ready for the Yuletide season. Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You has slid back into the Hot 100. It lands at 36 on the charts. It is 32 days before Christmas, and that is it for now. Join me on the news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. Well, Sonny Matula says he's honored to be part of Robredo's slate, and he says this is proof she is serious about fighting for the rights of workers if elected president. We now have with us for up close, attorney, should we call you attorney Matula? Attorney Matula or Ka Sonny? Ano po yung dapat tawag namin po sa inyo?
Sonny Wildo, Pia.
Attorney Sonny.
Magandang gabi po sa lahat. Attorney Matula or Attorney Sonny?
Yes, good evening po.
Good evening.
Okay, Attorney Sonny. Good evening po sa inyo, and thank you very much for joining us. Can you tell us first po, Attorney Sonny, what were the behind the scenes dito po sa pagpili sa inyo, no? What took so long? Ano yun, 1-2 weeks, ang daming naghihintay, ang daming haka-haka, di ba? Sabi daw, it was a choice between Nery Colmenares and you. What happened?
Palagay ko ay nahirapan siguro si BP Lenny sa pagpili sapagkat very qualified naman si Congressman Colmenares at kilalang-kilala ng mga sektor. At palagay ko sa pag-evaluate ay nahirapan yung si BP Lenny at yung kanyang mga advisor at yung mga nakapaligid sa kanya. Kaya hindi ganun kabilis na nagdesisyon yung ating Vice President.
Yeah, but what was the reason behind yung nahirapan siya pumili? What was it that you had na wala si Nery Colmenares?
Hindi ko masyadong nakikita kung ano yung criteria niya. Pero ang nakikita ko lang ay si BP Lenny ay naging abogado ng mga magsasaka sa Bukidnon at nung nagpa-practice pa siya ay naging abogado siya ng mga manggagawa. Ganon din po yung aking karanasan. Sa kasalukuyan ay abogado ako ng mga manggagawa at marami ring mga grupo ng mga magsasaka na ako'y abogado. At yung mga urban poor at jeepney drivers ay abogado rin ako dito sa Metro Manila. So may similarity yung aming pinagmumulan.
Okay. Marami pong pinag-uusapan ngayon tungkol sa no vaccine, no work policy. Although hindi naman siya policy, no, pinag-uusapan pa lang, there is that possibility. It's well hanging over our heads, no? But what do you think of that as a labor leader, as someone who has represented labor groups in the past, and also as a lawyer? Pwede po bang pilitin ang tao na magpabakuna? At kung hindi siya magpabakuna, hindi siya pwedeng tanggapin sa trabahong that he is applying for, or mawawalan siya ng trabaho, matatanggal siya sa trabaho dahil ayaw niya magpabakuna? Ano po ba yung dapat na balance between these two?
The existing law provides that vaccination is not compulsory. In fact, under Section 12 of Republic Act 11-525, it is clearly stated that vaccination is not a mandatory requirement in obtaining education, in employment, and in other similar government transactions. So the law is clear that it is voluntary. In fact, the law also says that these vaccines are still in an experimental stage. So that's the reason why vaccination is not yet compulsory. And of course, at present, there is a problem of supply. In fact, I was just vaccinated a week ago because of lack of supply of the vaccine. So that was my first dose last week, and I need to have my second dose in December. So malayo pa rin. At there are a number of workers who are not yet vaccinated because of lack of supply of these vaccines. So mahirap naman. It is unreasonable to impose the compulsory vaccination when there is lack of vaccines or wala pang vaccines o kulang.
But, well, two things there, opo, sa Attorney Sonny. Number one, ang sinasabi na po ng gobyerno at nakikita naman po natin in the last few days, ang dami na pong dumarating na supply ng bakuna, iba't ibang brand po yun. At ang sabi nga ni Secretary Charlie Galvez, wala na po tayong problema sa supply, yung problema na lang po natin and logistics and how to bring this all, to download all of these to the different LGUs all over the country. But at the same time, sir, what you're saying is that the only thing we can use is moral suasion, no? Parang convincing, to convince people to get vaccinated. Otherwise, wala tayong ano.
We encourage people to be inoculated. So, hindi naman namin inuupo siya kasi kinakailangan talaga ng ating mga manggagawa yan. Ang ating lang hindi pwedeng i-impose yung no work, no vaccine, no work, Kasi hindi mandatory nga sa ating sariling mga batas. At yung resolution lamang ng interagency task force, ay hindi yan pwedeng sumalungat sa ating kasalukuyang batas na voluntary nga yung vaccination na sinasabi. At kung i-impose yan, ay palagay ko ay misapplication of the law yan, sapagkat hindi naman pwedeng mas mataas yung resolution kaysa resolution ng IETF kaysa batas na ginawa ng Kongreso. So kung may batas ay
Attorney Sani, meron pa pong
yes, ma'am.
Meron pa pong isa pang controversy nowadays, itong excise tax oil, dahil nga patuloy na tumataas lang yung presyo ng produktong petrolyo at talaga namang it becomes a really big problem. Lahat, pagtaas ng presyo ng gasolina, taas na yung lahat, na alam naman natin po yun. So, if you were, because ang pinag-uusapan ngayon, pwede namang i-amend ang law, pwedeng i-suspend down ng Finance Department ang provision na yon doon sa batas. If you were to win in this bid for the Senate, and if you are there in the Senate already, at umabot sa panahon na nandun na po kayo sa Senado, what would you do about this particular controversy of the excise tax?
Palagay ko ay napaka-importante kasi ng mga gasolina at ito ay ginagamit ng marami mga Pilipino, ay dapat gamitin na Executive Department yung kanyang kapangyarihan, isuspend muna. At palagay ko kung nasa Senado na tayo ay ating i-review yung excise tax na yan sa ating mga gasolina, kung ito ba epektibo o dapat nating tanggalin na sa ating mga batas.
Alright. Attorney Sani, yet another controversy, itong pinag-uusapang investigation ng International Criminal Court. Ang sinasabi po ng Malacanang na administrasyon, wala pong jurisdiction ang ICC sa Pilipinas dahil di na po tayong miyembro nito at marami pa pong ibang dahilan. In a very as brief as possible, Attorney Sani, can you tell us what you think is going to happen and ano po ba ang pwedeng gawin ng ICC at hindi nila pwedeng gawin?
Palagay ko ay yung jurisdiction ng ICC.
Investigation into the war on drugs, sorry.
Yes, the investigation I think is a good thing that happened. And yung sinasabing walang jurisdiction ay sinagot na yan ng Korte Suprema natin mismo doon sa kaso ng Cayetano versus o Pangilinan versus Cayetano, yung bago lamang, yung pag-withdraw ng Pilipinas sa International Court of Justice. And the Supreme Court said that the ICC has jurisdiction from the time that we entered into the agreement until the time that we withdraw from the ICC or the Rome Statute. So yung mga nangyayari during the time na tayo ay kasapi pa ng ICC, ay may jurisdiction ang korte, ang International Court of Criminal Court, at dapat ay hindi maging baliwala ang accountability ng ating mga opisyal na nasuspitsan o may mga probable cause para sa kanila sa mga nangyayaring patayan sa ating bansa.
Attorney Sani, marami po tayong mga tanong, mga general questions halimbawa, at itong isang main question dito of course, as a senator and a lawmaker, wala po kayo sa executive, no? So you will not be implementing, you will not be with the executive. However, if you were a senator, if you did win in the Senate bid, and as a senator, what kind, in the next administration, of course, no, what kind of a health crisis management would you want to see on the ground? Because, we are presuming that the pandemic may stretch on for a few more months now. So the question there is how you would manage this health crisis differently. But I'm going to ask you to take that question, to give us that answer, Attorney Sani Matula, when we, after this very quick break, and when we return, this conversation with the newest senatorial aspirant under Lenny Robredo's slate, Sani Matula, continues. Keep it here on CNN Philippines. Welcome back to CNN Philippines. We still have with us for Up Close labor leader and lawyer Sani Matula, the latest addition to Leni Robredo's senatorial slate. Attorney Sani, ang tanong ko po kanina is, how would you want the health crisis managed differently?
Yes, we have an agenda when we met Vice President Leni Robredo last week or 2 weeks ago. And one of our agenda is universal health at papalakasin natin yung ating mga sistema sa pangkalusugan. The first ones that dapat ay balik trabahong ligtas. So we have to adopt measures sa pagbabalik ng mga manggagawa sa trabaho na ligtas sila. So ang pamanawagan dyan ay malawakang bakuna, libreng testing, at kung ang ating mga manggagawa ay magkaroon ng o ma-infected ng COVID-19 ay dapat mayroon silang assistance na o mayroong tinatawag natin na proposal for a pandemic leave kung mayroong COVID-19 na infected yung ating mga manggagawa para hindi sila mawalan ng income sa panahon na sila ay nagkasakit o na quarantine sila, no? So at kasama na dyan siyempre ang pag-recruit ng maraming mga healthcare personnel. Noon pa man ay sumulat na kami sa Pangulo ng Pilipinas, sa Department of Health at sa ating Department of Labor na dapat nag-recruit ng mga regular na mga healthcare worker. Hindi lang po yung mga job order o yung mga contract of service ng mga personnel, kundi yung mga regular na mga empleyado ng Department of Health para sa matugunan yung pangkalusugang pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan. Isa po ang kulang sa kasalukuyan ay karamihan ng ating mga na-recruit na mga healthcare personnel ay mga contract of service o may contractualisasyon na nangyayari na ang kanila namang ginagawa ay permanenteng trabaho ng ating pamahalaan. So masama po yan. Yan ay ating babaguhin.
Okay, babaguhin meaning ang sabi po kasi sa akin the thing you're most passionate about is security of tenure, and you're saying na kapag dumating kayo sa Senado, kung nakakarating kayo ng Senado, yan ang isa sa mga na tatrabahuin nyo.
Aha. At siyempre yung paid quarantine leave ng ating mga manggagawa sa panahon na sila ay magkasakit o sa panahon na sila ay naka-isolate.
Oo. Attorney Sani, siyempre ang running for the Senate is not a small thing. As a matter of fact, ang estimates na can run between 200, 500 million for a campaign for the Senate. So the question is, how do you plan to fund your campaign? And given that you are a labor leader, a labor lawyer, how would you say big business looks at you and your candidacy?
It's good that we are included in the slate of the Vice President kasi madadala na tayo sa kampanya ng ating Vice Presidente at sa palagay natin ay tutulungan ang mga manggagawa na manalo, yung representante ng mga manggagawa na manalo sa eleksyon na ito. So malaking tulong po yon. At nagpapasalamat kami sa kay VP Leni na napagbigyan yung mga manggagawa. For the first time, palagay ko yung mga manggagawa na bigyan ng break at palagay ko ay mananalo yung representante ng mga manggagawa sapagkat nakasama tayo sa mainstream na mga political coalition. Siyempre, wala tayong pera na sarili natin.
Attorney Sani, the following questions are answerable only by yes or no, so wala pong explanation allowed. Sorry po. So the first question is, do you favor easier public access to the SAL-Ns of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution? Yes or no, sir?
Come again?
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution? Yes or no, sir?
No. I will not support the lifting of the term limit.
Okay. Do you favor the reimposition of the death penalty for drug-related crimes? Yes or no?
No. Life is precious, and it cannot be returned back.
Should the sitting president should the sitting president be allowed to run for vice president in the next election? Although, of course, alam naman po natin, nagsabi na po si President Duterte na hindi siya tatakbo, hindi po siya nag-file ng COC, pero syempre, hindi natin alam kung ano mangyayari between now and November 15. At the same time, sabi po niya, retired siya. Pero ang tanong, should a sitting president be allowed to run for VP in the next election? Yes or no, sir?
I think no, there is the answer.
Do you favor resuming peace talks with communist rebels? Yes or no, sir?
Yes, that's good for the Philippines to discuss.
Should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea? Yes or no, sir?
Yes, of course.
And my final question for you, Attorney Sani, before we say goodbye to you, you were also a law professor and, of course, like we said earlier, a labor lawyer. What for you was the most significant, the most impactful, I suppose, the labor case na na-handle po ninyo? And even if, for example, you do win and you get to the Senate, would you still be teaching law? Ang daming nagsasabi na magaling daw po kayong teacher.
Yeah, I have 3 landmark cases, which is my favorite before the Supreme Court. The case of employees of Bayer Philippines versus Bayer. Then we have the Arabit versus Jardine Finance. And the other one is Lantex versus ISOM. So those are my favorite cases before the Supreme Court, which was handed in favor of the workers.
And you would still continue teaching law, sir?
Yes. Masaya ako pag nagtuturo. So, kung saan ka masaya, palagay ko ay tuloy mo yan.
Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyo, Attorney Sani Matula, the 12th candidate in Lenny Robredo's senatorial slate. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us today.